everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys today? I'm so glad to have you with me, and I do want to let you know to please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow my channel and I greatly appreciate it. I hope that you enjoy this video. All of the products that I use are linked in the description below, so check them out. And don't forget that you can share this video. And when you share it, you can put it to your Pinterest so that later on, if you're ready to make this project, you can find it easily and you don't have to search my channel for it. So today we're making this really cool card. This week we've been using the Ranunculus Romance stamp set. There are dies that go with it, so I did want to let you know that. I haven't used them on this card, but I did use them on the last two projects that I have videos for already that you can check out. But I did want to show you what they looked like. I used the scalloped contour dies. Now this coordinates with the stamp set. As you can see, there's two images here of florals that you can cut out, but I use these all the time. I consider them a shape die stamp set. A shape die set, and I use them constantly. If you guys are growing your dies in the shapes, definitely check these out because you're going to love it. We're going to use this one here, and as you can see, this die is a little bit larger than what we have used on our card. So this one has two humps in the middle and then the corners, and this one only has one hump in the middle. So I'm going to show you how to alter that today. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that die out of the dies. We're going to do a little bit of embossing, which that's always fun, right? So stick around and let's go ahead and get started. Our main color that we're using is Melon Mambo, and we've paired that with our white and black, which is always a great combination. So let's go ahead and get the heat embossing out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to grab my little heat gun here and make sure that it's ready to go. And we're going to start with this front piece of our card, which is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and it's just basic white cardstock, and that is what this piece is here on the front. So I'm going to grab just some scrap. You can see it's been well loved. And I'm just going to put my card on it because I'm going to be stamping these roses at the bottom, and they're going to be stamped down and off of this piece. So I need them to have something here to catch the ink that is not going to be onto our cardstock. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the rose. Here it is. There's a beautiful stamp set. That's what Ranunculus is. It's the type of rose that this is that has lots and lots and lots of tight layers around it. So we're going to take our Versamark ink. I'm going to ink that up, make sure that I have plenty of Versamark on there, nice and wet. And we're going to start kind of higher up. And we're going to start with this rose right here, and it's almost fully on. So I'm going to ink that, make sure that I press down in all the spots, right? Lift that up. You can't see it yet. That's where the magic powder comes into play. We're going to go ahead and grab another one. I'm going to try and look from the side. There is going to be some overlapping, so it's okay. And I'm going to put this rose kind of off to the side here, right down there. And you can see that it hangs off of our basic white cardstock, which is why I wanted the scrap paper down here. We're going to do it one more time. And we are going to ink. We're going to go a little bit low right here. We're going to put this rose right there. All right, so we have 3 roses that you can't see, but I'm going to make them come alive for you. So let me grab this scrap paper, take it out of the way because we have that ink on there and I don't want that to be in the way. I'm going to bring in a large piece of just copy paper. I'm going to place my piece on there, and I'm going to grab my embossing powder. Now, when you buy embossing powder, it doesn't come in these containers. It comes in a little round, kind of like jar, like this, small little jar. And they're actually, this one's heat and stick powder, but it looks the same, the kind of jar. The white comes in a grouping, so you're going to get white, clear, and black. It's a great little combo. And then we have one in the metallics. So let's go ahead, and this is the white powder. I just poured into these containers to make it a little easier for myself. And I'm going to slide this piece of cardstock in here. I'm going to pick up some of that powder. And I'm going to make a mess, which is why I have the copy paper here. I'm going to kind of bring it down, trying to cover, you know, all the surface. And as you can see, as I'm moving this powder around, it's grabbing that sticky Versamark ink and clinging to it. And I'm going to tap off, and you can see the outline there of those roses. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it back over the top and just give my finger a little snap. And the reason that I put this copy paper on here is because I knew I was going to make a mess, which I did. And I wanted to make sure that I had a way to get my precious white powder back into my cool container. I'll make sure. I'm going to grab this brush that I keep over here to the side, and I'm going to get everything that's on this handle and shake that onto the paper. And then put that back in as well. All right, so now we are done. I can put the lid on. Get that out of the way. And I'm gonna go ahead and place it down here. I'm gonna bring my heat gun in, and we're gonna start the magic. Now you're not gonna be able to see as well as when it's piled up like it is, like the powder is right there. You're not going to see it as well because it's going to be white on white when we're done. But when we do our technique, you're going to see it come alive. So I'm going to start my heat gun, kind of get it going, make sure it's nice and warm. And then I'm just going to bring it over my image here. And I'm going to start heating that powder up. And the powder is kind of crystallized, right? So as the gun gets super hot, which it is, so you have to be careful, don't put your fingers in front of your heat tool. It's gonna melt that powder, and it's gonna form the image that you stamped down, which is what's happening right now. I can see it happening. I'm sure that you guys can't yet. I will hold it up to the camera for you when I'm done so that you can try and look at it. But once we put that color on there, you're gonna definitely see it. So I'm just doing a light coating right now. I'm not making sure that all of it, I'm not making sure that all of it is crystallized yet. I'm gonna make sure that I have it set, and then I'm gonna go back over and make sure that all of the powder has melted. All right, I'm very happy with that. I'm going to show it to you, and it's shining white on white. Now, you're not going to be able to see it very well, like I stated, but that's okay because we will, when we add this pink color, it's going to pop, okay? So there it is. I'm going to try and move it so that the camera hopefully catches the light in the room and you can see a little bit of it, but it's right down there. Trust me, it's right in this area, okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to add some ink. But before I do that, let's go ahead and work on this piece because I have to stamp my words on it. And I have a piece already done. I am going to show you how I made it smaller than the die. Here's the die. See? I am going to show you how I did it, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and ink it up, get the words on there, get that going, and then I will bring that back in a minute. I'm going to bring my machine in, and then I will show you how to do it when we do this background. So I'll use the machine all at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Versamark ink again, and I'm just going to get that just because. Get that inked up, nice. Make sure that it's nice and inked up. I'm gonna bring it down here so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna try and get that in without putting my head in the camera, but you never know how it works out. I'm just gonna hope for the best. Oh, it's a little high, I don't like it, so I'm gonna rub that with my finger. I'm gonna grab my eraser, try and lift up some of that Versamark ink. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna do it a little lower, a little high. It's hard to gauge when you have a small piece like this, so I'm gonna go ahead and try that again. Let's go right here. Oh my goodness, I think I did it in the same place. Let's try one more time. Rub, 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 rub. I also use one of my little scrap towels and rub that ink off of there. Let's try one more time. It's okay that it's getting a little bit wrinkled because this is a distressed card. So I'm gonna definitely try and go way lower than I think it needs to be, and hopefully it'll be right in the middle. Let's try one more time. Third time's a charm. All right, now I'm happy with the placement. Okay, so hopefully it looks good. If not, we'll just use the piece that I cut, I cut later, and we'll just try it all over again. So we're gonna grab our powder. This is real live crafting, guys, no edits. So I hope that you like this kind of crafting. All right, I'm gonna hit that. And I'm gonna use my little brush that I used earlier. And it looks like I rocked my stamp and got some of that there. I'm not totally in love with that S. I can't see it very good, but I think it's going to be the best it's going to get. I'm going to go ahead and dip one more time, but I think that I'm about as good as I'm getting. So I'm going to use my brush, get the excess powder off of there. All right, I'm happy with that now. I think that's better. I think I just needed another dip in the pool. And really, guys, by not editing, you get to see what happens. I mean, this is what happens when you're crafting, right? It's not always perfect the first time, so why should that's what you see? You should see how to fix your mistakes and what to do, and that's why I don't do editing. You get the real me. All right, so because that is so small and I don't want to burn my fingers, I am going to use my tweezers here. I'm going to hold on to it, and then I'm going to heat it up. I love that it looks a little vintage, a little speckled, not perfect because of all those times I had to stamp that sentiment, because this is so vintage, it shouldn't be perfect, right? All right, so there is our tag. Looking good. All right, so let's go on to our pink layer. So we're gonna use our Melon Mambo, and we're gonna grab a scrap of copy paper. I'm going to put that down here. And I'm going to deposit ink over the top of that embossing that I did, okay? So we're just going to use our blending brush. We're going to pick up some color. I'm going to start in this down corner. I'm going to get a little bit off, and then I'm going to work my way up. And you can see that these flowers are now starting to pop up off of our cardstock. So there they are. It was really real. I did do it. And then I'm going to add color. I want it to be darker in the corner, more concentrated, and then kind of a halo effect on the smooth part here of our cardstock. So I'm going to add a little darker color in this corner. I want it to be a little bit ombre-ish. I'm just going to keep adding until I'm happy with the saturation of color that I have over the flowers. And there we go. I'm very happy with that. Now, I'm going to use my ink pad again. I'm going to take this stamp here. I'm going to ink that up in this color of Melon Mambo. And I'm going to stamp right there and right there. And in this corner, just kind of filling in the in-between area like that. Okay? Now we can clean it. I've also stamped on the inside of the card, so let's get that going. Our inside piece, our card base, not inside, our card base is 4 1/4 by 11, and it is scored at 5.5, and it is our thick basic white. And I use the thick one because that is the card base. When you're using white and it's the bottom layer, you want it to be nice and strong. So I use the thick when it's my core of my card, which this one is. So I'm going to go ahead and open the inside. I'm going to take my rose. I haven't cleaned it yet, so it still has that Versamark on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that Versamark off of there. And then I'm going to ink it into the Melon Mambo. Use my scrap here because part of it's going to be off the edge a little. And I'm going to stamp that down. Make sure that I get all over. Nice. And then we're going to use the same thing here. We're going to stamp our words down here. And then I'm just going to I'm not going to add any more ink to it. I just want it to fade out. So let me stamp off the extra, clean my stamp, stamp off the extra, clean my stamp. All right, guys. So now our inside is ready. Let's work on the outside again. So, like I said, we are going to take this piece here, and we're going to be using an embossing folder. It is the Painted Textures. This is what it looks like. Okay, and it's a 3D embossing folder, and it's what gives this textured look on this piece. Okay, so we're going to take our piece, we're going to put it in here. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Let's get that out, and we're going to use the big guy, the Big Boss. So I'm going to bring that into play, and then this is when I will show you how to make that die cut piece smaller. So we're going to go ahead and bring that in there. We're going to use our platform, and because the embossing folder is a 3D embossing folder, we need a sandwich right here. It says 4 and number 1, so the number 1 goes on the bottom. We're going to put our sandwich, and then we're going to use number 4, place it over the top, and run it through. When I pull that out, look at all of that beautiful texture that it has. Okay, so I'm going to put this down, move this out of the way, and now I'm going to teach you how to die cut that shape. So when we're using the thin dies, we need a 1, we need a 2, we need plate number 3, and then we're going to put our die on here with some paper, and we're going to use a second plate number 3 on top. So here is our paper. Let's grab our die. I moved it out of the way. Now I'm not sure exactly where I put it, so I got to find that little puppy. It's on this surface somewhere. There we go. All right. So when we're doing this technique, okay, we're gonna lay this on a scrap piece of black cardstock, okay? And now I only want to cut the corner bump and one level, because we only want one on the middle, right? On the other side, we want it to be another corner bump. So we're just gonna cut half of this die. And to do that, what I'm gonna do is with this top plate, I'm gonna slide it into the machine. See that? How it came out the other side? And with this edge here, I'm gonna line it up right there in the center mark so that it just covers these two pieces, half of this die. And then I'm gonna push it into the die cut machine. I'm gonna hold my hand there until the machine takes it in. Then I'm gonna move my hand to the top so I can force it through there, and it's gonna fall out the other side. Now, what that does is it only cuts half of the die. I'm now gonna turn it around. I'm gonna take my die and I'm gonna line up the center, this center bump that we made with this same side right there, and on this side with that one, okay? And I'm gonna put it in and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna bring this out so I can bring my plate in, and I'm just gonna do half the die. Okay, so it's right there on the center pieces. I'm gonna make sure that I'm just cutting those centers. If you have to move your die cut piece, you can. There it is. We're gonna push it into the machine, and once again, once it gets in there, I'm gonna bring my hand to the top, and there it is. Let me bring it back out. And when I lift it up, it only cut that half of the die. But what that does is you do half and then you do the other half, and that's how you get your small die cut piece. Of course, these little circle pieces have to be popped out. You can use your take your pick tool and pop those out like that. So now you guys know how I got that really cool smaller shape. You can alter a lot of your dies in this manner so that they fit whatever you're trying to use them for. So let me get this scrap piece of black into my trash can and all these lovely little black dots that I have made a mess with. I'm gonna put my big guy away. Pretty awesome, isn't it? I just love how that does that. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do now with our inked piece that we have put together right here. So as you can see on this piece, there's quite a bit of that pink ink on top of our white embossing. So what I'm going to do is try and wipe as much of it away as possible. So I'm going to grab a tissue. I'm just going to ball it up, and I'm just going to rub it over the top. You see how it picks up that ink? And you see how this side here where I rubbed it is much wider than this side? So we're just going to, little by little, rub our pieces over the top and lift up that extra ink that got deposited on top of our embossed flowers. And when you're happy with the amount of pink that you've lifted up, you can stop rubbing on your card. Okay, we have another piece of 3 3/4 by 5. This one's the Melon Mambo. See, it's the same size as our white, as our basic white. And what you're gonna do is we're gonna ball this up and we're gonna wrinkle it up. Because as you can see here, I have a wrinkled edge. I also could run it through the same folder if I wanted to, if you didn't want to go through this. I get pleasure out of distressing paper, so I'm gonna go for it. So as you can see, it's really thick cardstock. Our cardstock is super thick. You can spray a little water on it if you want to make it easier for yourself to crumble it. I like the challenge of breaking down the fibers in there, so I kind of do it by hand. But you can spray it. It does make it easier to get that crushed look if you spray a little water on it, because it helps you with your fiber breaking down. I'm going to go this direction now. I went the long way. Now I'm going to go on the short side. All right. Let's get this corner. I don't want it to be perfect. All right. I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to take my hand and my bone folder, and I'm going to try and straighten my paper as much as I can to get it to lay for me. Let's bring our card back in. So this piece is going to go on an angle like that right there across this piece. Okay. Now I want it to just be a little bit more towards the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this on an angle like so. And then I can stretch it up to be almost touching those edges. Let's put a little bit of wet adhesive on there. The wet adhesive is really the best because you have all of this crinkling, wrinkling, and you need the glue to go in all the little nooks and crannies. So I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to add my wet adhesive onto the back, and we will go ahead and deposit this in that corner exactly how I want it here. And when I'm happy, I think there is good. When I'm happy with that, I'm going to just press it into place. All right, now let's grab our floral area. I want to make sure that that's going to cover, and it is, that piece. Now, same thing on the bottom. So let's go ahead and flip that over. We're going to put our adhesive. Pick it up. You kind of line it up. Make sure that you have it where you are in love with how it looks. I think I'm good there. I want to make sure that this shows. I'm going to angle it a little bit more, I think. A little bit more angled. That's why the wet glue is so nice, because it covers up those things. Let's see. Yes, that looks awesome. Happy with that. Okay, so this piece here is going to be dimensionalized. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with my little just because piece, okay? I want that to be popped up off of this piece about there. But before I do that, I'm going to get my white twine. It's the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. You get 5 colors. I'm going to get the white. And I'm just going to cut, I don't know, maybe that much. And then I'm going to put one of the ends through here, okay? And then this piece here is going to be put on this end, and I want it to be attached onto the back of my white piece. So this one's gonna stretch this way, and this one's gonna stretch this way, and I want them kind of separated. So I will go ahead and do that. And on the back, I'm gonna put a dimensional there to hold it in place. Isn't that awesome? Yes. And another one over here to hold these guys. Come on, get back together. There we go. So that holds it down. We're going to put 3 dimensionals on the back. And before I pull the backs off of them, I want to make sure that I've put my twine through on the other side. So I need to know how long I need it. I'm short on this side because it's kind of living on this side of the card. But on this side, I need it a little longer. So I need it to be able to go through there and have enough for the back. So that should be good. Let's go ahead and cut that. And we're gonna put it through, but before I actually attach it to the back of my cardstock piece, I'm gonna pull the backs off of this with my Take Your Pick tool, and then it will adhere that to the front of my card. So let's go ahead and hold these guys. Let's get this to be straight. I'm gonna bring it a little farther down, guys, so I can see. There we go. All right, so once I'm happy with that, I'm gonna put it in place. Good. Now, I want this piece to be on this side and this one to kind of overlap it like I did before. So that one's gonna go there, this one's gonna go here. I want them separated a little. So I'm gonna kind of pull them where they're gonna be. Remember, I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna take a dimensional and I'm gonna hold them in place. I'm gonna take another one. I'm gonna hold it down there. So now that that is how I want it to look on the front, and I'm happy with it, move that into place how I want it. I'm gonna flip this over and we can go ahead and put dimensionals on the back. So this whole layer is gonna be lifted up off of that pink piece that I have cut. And as you can see here, I'm just filling in. I definitely need the corners, but I'm just filling in wherever there's no dimensionals here. And that looks good to me. So let's go ahead and pull the backs off. I hope you guys love this tip of using your Take Your Pick tool to pull the backs off the dimensionals, because to me it's a game changer. They all end up on here and not all over your craft room floor. All right, so let's go ahead and bring our card down. We're gonna center this in the middle of our piece of cardstock, making sure we have pink peeking out in all the right spots. I love it. What do you guys think so far? Okay, so we have to do our bow now. So I'm gonna take my same white twine. I'm just gonna hold on to it here. And I'm just gonna make 2 loops, 2 bunny ears. And I'm gonna cross them. I'm gonna bring this through, hopefully, if I do it correctly. There we go. I didn't think I was gonna get it in there. I'm gonna pull on my loops. Pull on this one. Make sure it's looking fine. I'm happy with that. All right. So once I have my loops the size that I want them, I'm gonna pull this one a tiny bit down. Good. I'm gonna go ahead and trim my end. We can put this twine away, put it back in its little bag. We are almost at the home stretch, guys. We did a great job so far with this card. So I'm going to use a mini glue dot. So I love this for any kind of twine that I need to put on a card because it hides behind it so nicely. Again, Take Your Pick tool to the rescue, pointy end. You're going to make a little ball there, and I'm going to put that on the back of the bow, right where the knot is. Love that. And then I'm going to go ahead and feed it and make it look like I tied that bow right there. See how you don't have to make anything perfect? You just have to make it look like you did. So I'm gonna just get that into place, push that glue dot down, make sure my bow is laying how I like it. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna trim this end just a smidge. It's a little too long for me. There we go. I'm happy with that. And then the finishing touch, of course, are these beautiful brushed brass butterflies. Notice I said it real slow because they are hard. That is hard to say. Brushed brass butterflies. Whoops. Take Your Pick tools. Getting tired. Let's grab that end. I'm going to use a large one. I'm going to pick that up right there. I'll put it flying right around here, around these really pretty flowers, maybe right there. And then I'm going to put a small one with it because he has a little friend, right? And he might be flying in a different direction. I'm going to turn it the way that my take your pick tool is holding on to this, and I'll turn it back the right way, guys, for you to see. There you go. So he's flying this way, he's flying that way. And then we, of course, have a baby over here on the way out. Actually, I think I'm going to use a large one this time. I'm going to put a big guy over here. And he's flying off kind of on his own on that part of the card. What do you guys think? I love these brush brass butterflies. They look so cute on here. Did you guys enjoy watching me alter that die? You see how you can turn them into the sizes that you want. You just have to use a little ingenuity. I hope that you enjoyed watching me put this together. Let me bring the stamp set back in. Ranunculus Romance is the name of the stamp set we've used for this. Today, don't forget, it does have a coordinating set of dies. I didn't use it on this card, but the rest of the week's projects are going to use it, and I did use it for 2 videos. So if you want to watch the last 2 videos that I made with this stamp set, you can check that out. And I also paired it with the scalloped contour dies. Don't forget about them, because those are, I'm telling you, one of my favorite die sets. And if you want something to look like you wrinkled paper without having to go through the effort, this Painted Textures die is the one for you. I'm going to stick that under there. And then don't forget about the scallop contour dies. Let me put those back in their house. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Definitely give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video to your Pinterest so that you can do this video anytime you want. Share it with your friends if you think somebody would be interested. If you don't have a demonstrator and you would like for me to be your demonstrator, I would love that. Hit me up in the description below. My email is in there. You have access to my website, inkyhandswarmhearts.com. Check that out. I do post on a daily basis, so there's always inspiration on there for you. I appreciate you guys watching, and thanks again for being here. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!